Welcome to Spiritual and Sassy, the podcast where we bleed deep soul wisdom with authentic confidence.
We're your host,
Tressa
and Myra, and together we'll explore the mystical side of life, challenge societal norms and programming, and embrace our inner power.
Whether you're on a spiritual journey or just love a little sass, this space is for you.
Let's dive in and light up the world with a little more love.
Hello.
Hello.
Here we
Actually, this made me think of, in PowerPoint back in the day when you'd add animations to it, and it's like the star or like swipe or whatever it was, what I'm talking about. I told someone the other day, like on a Zoom call, because like for where I work fully remote, for those out there too, I have every meeting that I'm in, I'm on camera all the time. And I'm totally used to it now, like whatever. Like it's as easy as hopping on here and getting on the call. This is just what it is. But the other day I like popped in. I don't know what happened. Like it just was something awkward. And I'm like, too bad we don't just like arrive to the call like with some kind of, kind of like animation, like back in the day with, you know what I'm talking about. I mean, people still use PowerPoint, but like nobody really does animation anymore. I mean,
No,
not in corporate,
like
you're not out. Yeah,
No.
exactly. Like it's not even, what's a presentation? Like what's PowerPoint? So that was my funny for the week. I was like,
It made me think of like, what if each person getting on a Zoom call had like their own intro music?
I freaking wish, like, it would be so much
the song
better.
starts jamming out, and then you're like, "Oh, here comes Tressa."
Yeah, it'd be like your freaking walkout song or something like.
Your walkout song. I'm thinking
Yeah.
WWE shit.
Yeah, you are that shit too. I'm here for that.
Your walkout song.
That's John Cena's or whatever. I don't even know why I know that. I don't know, but like, how fun would that be? Or it was like themed, like I don't know. Everybody came out to Toby Keith the week of the 4th. It would be
4th of July. Lee Greenwood and Toby Keith.
Yeah, exactly. I would just stick to like
That's
John
hilarious.
Anderson or some hillbilly ass shit, and they all think I would just lean into it. Honestly, I would prefer that. I wish that's how it was instead of it being like a freaking seance. Like, are you with us? Are you with us on the call? Can I hear you? Like, it feels like you're talking to spirits. Like, are you in the room with us? Yeah.
Well,
all
I
the
think it
time.
would be a way to start every meeting with freaking laughter and joy.
Enjoy.
Yeah.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, 100%. Like
And like you could change your theme song to your mood. So like
Yeah.
they'd know, like, don't mess with
Yeah.
her today.
like Hell's Bells. Yeah.
Oh, shit.
Honestly, that's been my music probably like playing in the background the last freaking few calls I've been on people. I don't think they like me very much. But this actually goes well with our topic today too, and I can get into it more later, but like I can feel it. They think I'm Hell's Bells, and that's okay.
I was just thinking I would probably like have Twinkle, Twinkle, Little Star.
Oh God.
I don't know why that came to my mind.
I don't want that. I hear that enough. I hear that too much, Tressa.
Yeah, you have kids. I don't.
Yeah, you haven't been exposed.
No.
It's like the last
I have
song
no exposure.
No, actually, speaking of, and it kind of went in hand with the episode that'll go out last week. Like I said, I'm always on camera. Like it's just a non-negotiable. I mean, if I'm like dead, I guess I could turn it off, but it's very rare. Like most people, even if I sat with it in my lap on a chair or on my couch, they don't care. You just need to be on camera. Like it doesn't matter. You don't have to be sitting at a desk. So, and I get it. Well, the other day, Magnolia, I clicked out of my Zoom screen. So like right now we have like two, for those listening, we have like two screens, right? And I clicked out of it because I was reading something. I don't even know what I was reading. I was zoning out. I was just listening to freaking credit card compliance. And I'm like, oh my God, okay, I'll just read the deck later. So I clicked out. Well, Magnolia saw and thought that I wasn't using my camera.
Thought you were done?
No, she heard it, but she thought the camera was off because I clicked out. And she comes to give me a hug, and I wanted to like freak out, and I was just like, and I like gently nudged her and just moved on with the call. And she's like, She was mortified. I was scared. It was just crazy. And no one cares, but it was a client call. I'm with the client. I'm with
Yeah.
the freaking city card or whoever the hell I was with. And I'm with, like Mr. City, Mr. Rakuten, I don't even know, like whoever, and then my
Yeah.
president, And so I was like, oh my God. But in the back of my mind, I'm like, oh my God, am I also traumatizing my child? Like, which is worse? Am I screwing up at work or am I traumatizing my child? Because she literally just wanted to give me a hug. Like, there was nothing to it. She didn't need anything. She just wanted to walk over and give me a hug. So,
Hmm.
anyways, it was a whole little like moment for me. Everything was fine. No one noticed because we were all like a bunch of little screens. Like, I don't even, it was so fast. No one noticed. She realized and understood and she was fine. And so, like, I hugged her and she's like, oh no, she's like, I thought you weren't on camera. And I'm like, no, bro, mommy's always on camera. Like, this is just rule of thumb. We are always on the camera here. Okay. Daddy gets to use Teams and turn off his camera. Mommy don't. Like,
Yeah.
I use Zoom all the time, every call. So, anyways, it was like one of those moments of like practicing like last week's episode in life, you know what I mean? Or like a couple
Yeah.
episodes or whatever it was about like, what are we doing? How are we reacting? And then, work and fun stuff. But anywho,
Yeah. I mean, they probably would have thought it was adorable if they would have even noticed, you know? It's
yeah,
just,
they like it because
yeah.
Wookie shows up. My
Yeah.
dogs, I don't mind. Like Wookie will look out the window and like
Yeah.
I used to have a chair back in my old space and Boomer would just sleep on the chair. Like,
Yeah.
you know, dogs are easy.
Yeah.
Children,
Yeah. I get that.
I feel this different level of pressure. And I don't know,
Yeah.
and I shouldn't, like they know I have kids. They know it when it's summer. Like I don't care what it is. Like my 6-year-old's not normally home with me.
Right.
So it's summer, they've got kids, people have families, it's life. So
Yeah. Yeah. I get that. Well, are we ready to talk about feminine and masculine energy?
yes.
Yeah. Good topic.
Woo, dun, dun.
I thought about, I don't know what, I've been working on this for myself. I think that's why I thought this would be a fun topic when I texted you the other day.
Yeah, and I'll say this before you kick it off.
Yeah.
What's cool though is like what I do almost every night, I start like researching things. I like information. So I don't know, I should be instead of reading books, I like my osmosis, right? My books are laying on me. I'm using
Oh,
my
yeah.
phone
That's
and
right.
I'm looking up things. So anywho, I was looking up like different big gemstones. I don't know. I'm on a kick about it. So I know usually which ones like work for me and work with my zodiac and like all this fun stuff, right? Okay, like the basics, gemstone crystals 101, right? I know that. But I was like, man, I really want to explore like different gemstones or crystals or things that I could use that activates like what I'm manifesting or like what I'm working towards besides our
Mm-hmm.
usual. Like besides the citrine or besides, green aventurine, those are my favorite too. But besides like, you know what I'm saying? Like something just different, like something I haven't heard. Like
Yeah.
we're not walking around and everybody's wearing it. Anywho, well, the gemstone that came up, I'm gonna butcher it. I'm looking for it. I don't even think I have it written down. It's like crasso I don't even know. Like obviously, like
So it's hard to pronounce.
it doesn't make sense, but I have it. I have it. I took pictures of it. Anywho, it's supposed to like work really well with the mix of my zodiac but anywho, when I was doing all this stuff, a lot of things that kept coming up for me was more feminine energy
Mm-hmm.
type crystals and
Mm-hmm.
gemstones
Oh,
because
cool.
I don't normally lean for those things. I don't normally seek those out, like
Mm-hmm.
the pink opals or oh god, I just forgot the other ones. But what's the one for love? That's basic. I can't think of it off the
Rose
top of my
quartz.
yeah, thank you. It's like
Yeah.
rose. I don't know. So, anyways, guys, I have a million things on my mind when we're doing these, so I forget like basic terminologies. Sometimes they just like disappear. But yes, so pretty much all those were like circling around.
Uh-huh.
And I was like, that's so weird. I would never really look for that, or I wouldn't. And honestly, I hadn't really leaned towards even like rainbow moonstone or moonstone in general
Mm-hmm.
in a really long time. Like, I used to actually, I think this is moonstone. I just realized in this necklace. I haven't really been picking those up, especially since after I was trying to conceive.
Hmm.
and I had a purpose or
Yeah.
I was trying to control an outcome, right?
Yes.
And so I
Yeah.
have a lot of these things. It's really cool when you texted me because I had been already thinking into my balance of the feminine and the masculine energies
Masculine.
for myself.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So I want to just start out. I did write down some things around like characteristics or core traits. And one thing, regardless of your gender that you're born, you hold both energies, right? You can hold feminine energy as a man, you hold masculine energy as a woman. And frankly, part of the reason I have been working on it is because I hold too much masculine energy. I lean into the masculine. And so
Same.
I have to be conscious of balancing it and feeling okay in my feminine energy. And the feminine energy is the yin energy,
Hmm.
right? Like that yin and yang. There's a balance to everything, right? And some of the core traits of that are being receptive, intuition, nurturing, creative, flowing, emotional, collaborative, allowing, like a softness or
Hmm.
stillness. When I think about that, like even when I've worked with clients and women today, I think because of the structural changes and going into a lot of corporate jobs, they do tend to hold more masculine energy. So I've worked
Yeah.
with clients on it too. And I always tap in. They're like, what does that mean? And I said, just think of flow. Just think of
Hmm.
something flowing. So, like, I think about water as feminine energy, right? It flows. It adapts to its whatever it needs to, right? Like a river can be in the bank that it's
Yeah.
in. And then if there's too much water, it erodes the bank and it comes out
Hmm.
onto the sides, right? Or,
Yeah.
it adapts to the conditions, I guess. And so some of the things that I've done with flow is like, you think about dancing is flow
Hmm.
or singing, or I just got me a hula hoop. I
No.
haven't hula hooped in forever. It's a weighted hula hoop, so I can
Oh,
exercise too,
cool.
but yeah, that's kind of feminine, right?
Hmm.
And then some of the expressions are, surrendering control, being in feminine energy,
Hmm.
creating space for others to grow, moving, kind of, we just talked about this, moving with the flow instead of forcing outcomes, and then feeling and expressing emotions. And I think I was in masculine long before even before I went into a career
Hmm.
out of protection. Because, as I things that happened to me in my childhood, I didn't feel like I had any control. So I really held on to that masculine energy
Hmm.
to try to have control. I
Yeah.
didn't want to surrender my control in any way. So I've been in more masculine energy most of my life. So it's been a journey, and I have had to have a lot of awareness to even allow myself to embrace the feminine energy.
Yeah. I would also add sensuality to the feminine
Yeah, I
energy
like
side
that.
too. Yeah, I would add that. And
Mhm.
then before you get to masculine, also to like some of the things, it's like if you're trying to relate it, I'm a very visual person. And so for those that are trying to think like the moon is more feminine, the ocean, like Tressa said, water,
Mm,
seeds, like you nurture them that grow.
yeah.
It's often associated with feminine energy, the womb because of creation, and there's a whole plethora of things we could expand into that.
Mhm.
And then I also had written down stillness too. But those are some of the things, like visual things that are associated with that feminine energy.
Yeah. I like that. I didn't even think about the moon. That's cool.
Yeah.
I am drawn to the moon.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so the masculine energy, the yang,
Yep.
some of the core traits are active, logic, protective, structured,
Hmm.
goal driven, competitive, assertive, and focused. And that to me, when I was thinking about like feminine being water, more water like, I think, is masculine a little more fire or directed or structured, those kind of things. I don't know why fire came to my mind. It just did.
Well, it's associated with the sun.
Yeah.
And I don't know,
Oh, yeah.
I kind of
Yeah.
combine,
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I don't know, sun and
That
fire.
makes sense.
I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
Light, like
Yeah.
fire is warmth,
Yeah.
warmth, fire, sun, mountains, trees, and wind. So think about
Mm-hmm.
like the movement of wind.
Mm-hmm.
What's also really funny when I was looking some stuff up today and like associations with the masculine
Mm-hmm.
outside of the normal like problem solving and logic, because those are the areas I go into a lot. And I
Oh
know
yeah.
that's where I'm at. And I know I
Mm-hmm.
lean heavy in the masculine energy. But one of the things that came up, it was like the, oh, now I forgot what it's called. Oh my gosh, the ice baths.
Oh
The,
yeah. Mm-hmm.
yeah,
Cold
like,
plunges.
yeah, cold plunges. There you go. Like listed several of
Yeah.
those type of things that people do. And I think cold plunges are great. I think they're amazing. But it was so interesting because like you said, it's associated with that physical side,
Yeah.
and like being active and strong and like I would associate like CrossFit with more of a masculine type of energy workout, like you know what I mean. You're not
Yeah.
you're yeah. And so but it was the cold plunge thing made me laugh. I was like, oh, okay.
No, that's so funny.
Yeah,
And that you bring up a good point, like even the exercise programs that you choose to do, right?
all
Like
of mine were
you,
masculine all the
yeah, mine
time.
too.
Yeah.
I
Hmm.
did CrossFit, I lifted
Hmm.
weights forever,
Hmm. High
you know.
intensity interval training.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And now in the last few years, I've just really shifted. I do a lot of yoga. I
Hmm.
do walking, hiking, just body weight stuff, you
Hmm.
know. It's really that's true too.
Hmm.
What are you drawn to can kind of give you an insight into which energy center you're leaning into a little bit more.
Yeah.
I mean, neither are bad. You can utilize
Yeah.
both, right? You just need to do it in a balanced way.
Yeah. Because
I
oh, sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off.
no, go ahead. Yeah.
Because I'm not like a Zumba person anymore, but I did participate in the Zumba craze, and I was younger when the
Mm-hmm.
Zumba craze came out, and but it was so much fun, and I danced all the time, and like it still was high intensity, but I enjoyed the movement and the dancing because I hadn't danced unless I'm going out, like at that time,
Yeah.
I was
Yeah.
going to frat, honestly, mostly frats and clubs and things. But anywho, somewhere in the basement somewhere, right? I don't even drinking out of a trash can. But I love to dance, right? Like
Yeah.
I love that. And there's still that masculine side of like Zumba, for example, because you're doing some of the high intensity, but I
Hmm.
enjoyed the dancing of it too. Like
Yeah.
it made me feel more flowy at the time because in college that's when I went on my weight loss journey of life. I don't even know what you want to health, fitness. I mean, I lost
Hmm.
a lot of it was the first time that I actually added movement into my life with an intention and with purpose.
Oh,
And
okay. Hmm.
when I changed my eating habits, it was the first time I lost 60 pounds. And so, like, it was just this huge thing. A lot of it was a trauma response from dad passing away, but I shifted as a whole person and like my whole everything changed.
Hmm.
But I enjoyed Zumba for
Yeah.
what it was.
I've never done it, but it honestly sounds like it is, if we're looking at masculine, feminine, it
Hmm.
kind of balances both because it is
Yeah.
high intensity, but yet you're using flow, you're using dance, you're
Yeah.
using that expression.
And it was
I think it's,
community based. Like you're with a bunch of people, you're shaking your butt. I mean, no one
yeah.
cares. It was so much
Yeah.
fun. Like
Yeah.
it's, people pick on doing Zumba. So if you did Zumba, I'm with you. I'm out here with you. I did it too. But I liked it. And there's
Yeah.
other dance programs and things like that. And that's all it was trying to do. But yeah, there was a difference in my body at that time. And I think about how well I received workouts like that and why I was drawn to doing that. It was fun. It was community based. It felt easy. Like it wasn't like, oh my God, I want to die. Like, because some workouts I'm like, oh my gosh, your cortisol's really high. You're ready
Yeah.
to go, like, take me out, throw the weight on my face, like,
Yeah.
you know what I mean? You're like, will this end? So, anywho,
Yeah. Well, that's cool.
yeah.
Yeah, never done it. Yeah. So those are just some of the core traits for you guys to think about. And then I wrote down some examples because ultimately you want to be balanced in both energies, right? There's times that you lean into one more than the other, but keeping it in a more balanced state is ultimately what we want to do. So a balance of both energies, like if you're balanced in your feminine energy, I think about being creative, right? But yet being able to execute. That's
Hmm.
masculine, right? So you can
Hmm.
create it and execute it when you're
Hmm.
balanced in both energy centers. because I've been in places, and frankly, even I think in my Gallup stuff, I'm an executor
Mm-hmm.
because I was, now I've really been trying to allow the creative portion too,
Mm-hmm.
not just the execution,
Mm-hmm.
and then like masculine energy, like if you built a structure, I'm thinking of a building, right?
Yeah.
But then if you're balanced within that, you could build the structure, and then what do you fill it with? Like
Yeah.
that's your feminine energy, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like you bring in whatever makes the space feel good.
Yeah.
So just something to consider when you're thinking about, okay, where am I? Am I balanced in both? Which one am I leaning into? Just some examples of what balance can look like there.
Yeah. And I think it's fair to say that like even in when you look at yin and yang too, it's complementary forces. It's
Mm-hmm.
not opposites. They're complementary instead of looking at them as opposites because you want the one and the other balance. It's the balance portion of it. You flow into one or the other. It's not a competition. You're not competing with forces. And one gives to the other what the other has to give to the other. Like they give each other what they need to create that balance and that flow. And when you look at the symbol, there's a seed of yin and yang and a seed of yang and yin when you look at the traditional
Yeah.
signal. So there's
Mm-hmm.
always one in the, you know what I mean? So it's always
Yeah.
a part of it and it's not opposing.
Yeah, it's always in perfect harmony,
Yeah.
right? And yeah, I love that. And it's like when I kind of imagine like a top, it's
Hmm.
spinning top.
Yeah.
And when everything's balanced within it, it's perfectly on its axis. It's going.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
then if one you go off kilter, you
Hmm.
put too much into one side, it
Hmm.
tips over and the axis stops spinning.
Yeah.
I think about that. It's funny that I honestly, I knew this. I did not really think about it until just now. The gong that I got last year for my sound bass has the yin and yang in it
My
on the
tattoo is a yin and yang
the
Friday.
gong. Yeah, really? Oh wow, that's wild.
Yeah, surprise everyone. Yeah, I literally have a tattoo book. I booked it months ago. She's booked out but I'm actually doing koi fish as
Hmm.
symbolism of yin and yang.
Okay,
So
but okay, that'll be
they'll
cool.
be like,
Yeah,
yeah, in a circular motion and one will be
yeah,
lighter and the other will be darker. Yeah.
yeah. That's cool. I did want to talk about a little bit about leadership because
Hmm.
one thing I recognized as my leadership style, um, I don't know, in the last year, 6 months, as I've been really trying to focus on my feminine balancing,
Hmm.
is I came into a leadership position in full masculine energy. And I really leaned into leading through feminine energy. And it was scary because at first I thought, like, how do you lead in a feminine way? Like, does that even fit?
Yeah.
Because you're kind of giving up control and you're not
Hmm.
having structure. But the more I've leaned into leading through feminine energy, like from the space of connection, from the
Hmm.
space of trust, from the space of offering a safe environment for myself and my team, the more we've thrived. Like,
Yeah.
honestly, the more we've thrived because I'm doing it through, I mean, I am a female, right? I'm a woman.
Yeah.
I'm doing it through a more authentic lens.
Hmm.
And that authenticity, kind of what we talked about last week, the episode that'll come out this next week,
Hmm.
it drives behaviors in a different way because it's
Hmm.
so true. So it feels safe because it's authentic.
Yeah.
And so I've really switched the way that I lead into that feminine energy. And I just want to throw that out there for people who are leaders in whatever space,
Hmm.
if you're in the corporate world like I am, sometimes you just hold on to that structure and that control so much.
Hmm.
And if you could give yourself some breath and try to really lead through that feminine, I think you'll find even more success. I know I have.
Yeah, I love that call out. And that goes into some things I wrote down too. Like if you have too much of a yang energy or too much of that masculine energy, you may feel burnout, aggression, or control, what you're talking about.
Mm-hmm.
And then if you have too much yin or too much of the feminine, you may feel stuck, passive, or you might feel overly emotional. But when you're balanced, you move with power and softness. So you still
Mm.
have power, but with the softness. So it's structure and surrender. And so, I have chills. But like you're
Yeah.
doing it, but you're being. And so
Hmm.
I agree with that 100%. I feel, like part of it too is one, when you're in leadership, you have so much on you for your team, and then what your team's performing, and then if you've got people under them, and then what's happening, and then you have other goals and objectives and crap you're tied to for results, right? That measure what you're doing. And I've really thought about, because as I've changed positions and I've gone into new roles, even though they're similar in space and similar in sphere, and I'm managing things and whatever the heck I'm doing and leading, and I'm a one-woman show at the moment. And I really went into this current role very soft, and not soft as in like run over me soft, because I feel like we kind of really when you look at words like soft, and you make them feel weak, or at least I do, or I would if this is my first time ever having this type of discussion. But I went in a lot softer, and I went in very open and less of a control over my work and like what was happening. I was just doing what I needed to do and learning and absorbing. And I really did feel a lot soft. I could physically feel softer, and I felt very like happy and flowy. But as priorities have shifted and I've become more in tune to the role, I can feel the control of others. And it's not, I'm not trying to control my own work anymore, because I've really surrendered. I mean, literally, I'm missing like half the pieces of a puzzle that I could really use to really kick some butt, but whatever. I've asked for what I needed. I've stated those things. I'm getting some of the info, but people are having too much control
Hmm.
around giving certain things up. And so can feel the control of others. And I really think, because I texted Tressa this week that I felt kind of anxious about my job this week. And that was the first time I really felt that way. Honestly, think it was because I was feeling unbalanced. I really think that's what it was. And as we're talking, I felt that then, but now it's like, okay, because I have had to really lean heavy in my masculine energy recently, a lot more than my feminine energy. And it's really trying to find a balance, because I do believe in processes. I do believe in logic. I do believe in structure. I'm not trying to control anything anymore, but I've been having to be really assertive, and I'm dealing with a ton of males. So there's already a lot of masculine energy in the room, you know what I mean? Like on the calls. And I'm leaning into my masculine energy to protect myself and to assert myself, to feel like if I don't and when I'm talking right now, I can kind of feel myself like doing this. Like I've been leaning into it really heavy to make a point, because without processes or structure, honestly, I'm wasting everyone's time, my time, the business's time. Not even me being snarky, like from a productivity standpoint. If you imagine like a wheel and just spinning, or like you're stuck in the mud or the dirt, like I don't know what, but the last couple, so after I texted Tressa, I went and I meditated, then I like jumped around, shook
Hmm.
out my energy, screamed a little bit, went, did all the fun stuff, right? Like
Yeah.
I needed to release I was feeling a little crazy. And I've come back and I've just went back in that creative mode, where because in my role and in my job and my career is literally to create. It is exactly what I do every day. And the only way that I can perform my best is when I'm in the level of that creativity and being balanced. So I've been putting it out there, what I would like for the work environment to be like, but I'm still focusing on Myra and what Myra can do in my creativity piece of it. But I could tell that between Friday, because I had to really hold my ground from between Friday and Monday. Monday was worse. And then yesterday, like I said, they probably feel like hell's bells. I've not been aggressive. I've just been assertive, because
Hmm.
like we've all been there. If no one else is holding the line for you, no one, or I mean, if you're not holding the line for yourself, no one else is,
Hmm.
only I can. I think of like IT. If anyone's ever worked with IT, if you don't submit a request, it never happened.
Yeah.
Like they will literally tell you, like, nah, you missed your window, like for 9 months, this is now never going to happen. But they do that everywhere. Like, shout
Yeah.
out to my IT folks. And so I'm not going that extreme. It is but I'm the only person. So if I'm not protecting myself, then, I'm just going to I will burn out because I'm
Yeah.
just going to keep spinning and spinning. So anywho, I've realized I just have to find a balance in that. Like I can't be so heavy in my masculine energy because then I'm not creating as well. And
Mhm.
then if I'm being too much in my feminine energy, then my results aren't coming either. So it's really that balance.
Yeah, I agree with that. And it's funny because I had written that down too, and you mentioned it. It's like, why do we believe societal belief structures? I believe when we think of power, we can't think of softness within power.
Mm-mm.
Those two don't. I think softness can be your superpower.
Yeah.
I think silence can be your superpower.
Yeah.
I think if you can sit in softness and silence and push your power out, it's powerful,
Yeah.
right? It doesn't always have to be in this, aggression way or, and so I think those are interesting words, and it's hard for most people to associate the two to
Mm-hmm.
to be able to play together, and I think they
Yeah.
very much can. I really do. And I
I do
think when you
too.
learn to do it, you're a powerhouse.
Yeah, I
You really
agree.
are.
And I feel like too, I was just thinking as you were talking, like, for whatever reason, also as a woman, I feel like when we speak our minds, we're automatically labeled. I mean, that goes also, I'm joking, but I'm probably not wrong. Like, Myra was nice and compliant. Now Myra's holding a line. So Myra is now a bitch or mean
Mhm.
or,
Yeah. Yeah.
and I wasn't aggressive, but even if I wasn't perceived that way, then at some point am I going back thinking, dang, did I come off too strong? Like it's this crazy dynamic. And, I'm not a man, but I'm sure there are times when they think, am I being too soft? Am I being too passive? Do you know what so there's these
Mhm.
crazy dichotomies that society has placed on it being opposites instead of it being like what we talked about, being in balance
Being
and
balanced.
being one trade-off of the other.
Yeah. Yeah. I wrote down a few things too, because I think, we kind of talked about feminine and masculine a in the workplace. What about feminine and masculine energy in a relationship? I think that is huge, very important. And I think, it also has to have balance to it, right?
Mm-hmm.
You know, one of the things I saw this a few weeks ago, and I kind of wrote it down in a way that I could remember it because I couldn't remember it word for word. But like for a woman to embrace her feminine energy in a relationship, she wants to feel held and safe in an emotional and energetic way. And when she can feel that from the masculine, from her man,
Mm-hmm.
she can feel fully vulnerable and safe in that feminine energy.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what a man is there to do. I mean, he is there to provide a safety and a secure place. But
Mm-hmm.
that's deeper than like your physical safety, right?
Exactly.
It's like your emotional safety is okay. Everything that you say is held with a level of kindness and confidence. And, so often we get into these places with our partners and we do allow the vulnerability. And then what I've seen happen is, a week later, you're struggling and you're in an argument, and that same vulnerability is now weaponized against you. And
Mm-hmm.
you will not go back and you will stay in masculine energy with that person. You will pull out, you
Yeah,
will for protection. And that goes both ways.
it does.
Women do it as well. I'm not
Mm-hmm.
saying, you weaponize sometimes the vulnerability of your partner. So I just think, really expressing it in your romantic relationships or your partnerships and having safe spaces to release emotion, share your values, and just know that whatever you're sharing, that other individual, doesn't have to completely understand or even agree with, but that you do have a safe space within those energy centers to express yourself, right? And not
Yeah.
have it used against you later. That was one of the things I thought about today.
Yeah, I am very fortunate that I am in a relationship where, and I actually, because I mean, I don't think we say, well, I shouldn't say we. I don't think I say thank you enough, or that I've been really, I'm very expressive as a person, so I've been making sure I express gratitude to others as much as
Mm-hmm.
possible in an authentic way. And I really hadn't taken the time to like truly express to Blake how grateful that I am for him, and
Mm-hmm.
like, but not just, oh, thankful for you, blah, like some specifics. And actually, that was something I told him I was really grateful for, that I know that I am loved for me, everything. And it's a full, like a whole part of me. Like I am in an authentic environment where I can be authentic to myself. Like there,
Mm-hmm.
and the same goes, it goes both ways. It's a safe space for the both of us. I'm grateful for that. And I also think that two things came to mind. One, like in our relationship too, I don't cook. I'm not a person who likes to cook. I just don't. And I mean, I don't mind to
Yeah.
cook, but
Yeah.
you're going to get like chicken and rice, because I honestly, I don't really care for food. And not, I'm
Yeah.
just not a foodie. I'm a drink person. Like, give me 19 lattes and 7 cups of water and 4 Coke Zeros, and we're ready to roll. Throw in some body armors too for some electrolytes. Like, I'm a drink person. Like,
Yeah.
I'm not a big foodie. I like to eat for nutritional things. Like, I need sustenances to live. I
Yeah.
gotta survive. Blake's a foodie, and I know that. And part of his love language is acts of service. And so ways that he shows love to us is by cooking. And it's also
Mm-hmm.
an expression for him. He gets to be creative. He looks up things during the day. This is like the joy of his life, to come up with different meals and
Uh-huh.
perfect food and different versions of food. Like he loves it. And so I think that's him showing balance in his masculine and feminine energy. Like he's able to be creative in this space in cooking for us. And so that came to mind as a way that we can, as a masculine energy, showing balance with feminine energy. But also too, I just had a conversation with someone about people sharing things, especially relationships, and then it being weaponized against them.
Mm-hmm.
And it's really interesting because they said that they got to a point with they had started a new relationship, and they had chose to just not share anything about their past relationships,
Mm-hmm.
which is, I mean, I don't really think there's a right or wrong answer to that. I'm not sure. But because in their previous relationship, they had known each other for years before they ever dated. But he was with another woman, and that their relationship was just based on weaponizing the past.
Uh-huh.
Like, because they knew everything. They knew his
Right.
ex-wives, her ex-partners, everybody. Like, they all knew each other. And so every argument, you could bring something up and be like, oh, I see why Johnny Jim Jam, did this, or
Yeah.
da 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 da.
Yeah.
Like it almost felt like this comfortable environment, but it really wasn't a safe environment. And so in this new relationship he has, he's like, I've just chosen to just not, like, I'm not being secretive. Like there's enough being shared. I don't need to know everything, and she doesn't need to tell me everything, because he said, I've seen it too many times. It's been weaponized against me. So like he doesn't feel safe to be completely
Mm-hmm.
vulnerable any longer.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's a really interesting thing. Like, I don't know if it's the best solution or the best thing for that relationship, but you can see how it shifted his future relationships.
Yeah. Well, I think that happens all the time.
Hmm.
You can go from one extreme to another.
Yeah.
I'm not sure that's
The right
going to
thing. Yeah.
provide, well, it's
Yeah.
not right or wrong. I just don't know
Yeah.
if it'll provide balance for them.
Hmm. Yeah.
They'll have to figure that out as the relationship goes. But I mean, I think that's one of the unfortunate things that happen. That's,
Yeah.
like for me, is I can think back about my trauma in my childhood, and I can pinpoint at this time, looking back,
Hmm.
moments where I, now I wasn't using these words, but I remember thinking, I am going to protect myself. I
Yeah.
will not allow vulnerability. When my dad committed suicide, we came back to my grandmother's house,
Hmm.
and I think I might have shared this story on another podcast, but I remember having so much anger walking into her house, and they were all crying. And I was just angry at the tears. And I
Yeah.
literally said out loud, like, you don't cry for him. No, you don't get to cry for him. And in that moment, I shifted into full masculine energy. I did. And I stayed there for years. And now
Yeah.
I've had to really, really, as I've worked on releasing a lot of trauma and understanding myself and who I am, I have to focus on my feminine. I have to do practices intentionally to get me in feminine energy. But I've been doing that for probably, 6, 8 months. And I can see that that's easier now. I'm feeling safer there. I've been, able to go into those places without even having to consciously think about it because I've been training myself into it,
Yeah.
slowly. So I did write down, like we did kind of talk about this, but I did want to just give a few practices for people. So if for me, like I knew I had to balance more into my feminine, so I had to do practices around that. Or if you're more in your feminine and you need to increase your masculine. So again, feminine journaling, dancing, painting, creating, allowing, using your intuition, masculine, taking bold actions, creating goals, fixing something. Doesn't have to be with a hammer. You can
I
fix a
fixed
lot
my
of things.
TV today.
Yeah, see, good for you. So just kind of think about where you're at and then make yourself, if you do feel imbalanced, and if I'm being honest, I think most people are. I really do. Most clients I work with are somewhat imbalanced, men and women, then just make yourself a game plan,
Yeah.
to start to use some of the tools to get a more balanced energy.
Yeah. I agree. Yeah, I've honestly, as you were talking, I think I've been in masculine energy, I would say since high school when I
Mm,
was really, really trying to figure out I wanted to exit my environment. And at that time, to exit the environment meant to go to college. And so my mind shifted, went into this full like independent mode. And I hustled. Like hustle energy. I feel a
yeah,
very
hustle
masculine
energy.
energy. Yeah.
Yes.
And I
Yeah.
don't think I had stopped hustling for a really long time.
Yeah.
And so for me, and then when my dad died, I went even further into it myself just to protect. And then I was that way with relationships and I acted out. And when I think about it, the way I acted towards those partners and those relationships and some of the choices I made, I acted out of control. It wasn't good of what I
Mm-hmm.
did or how I might have ended it. But I didn't control them. I was controlling the narrative because I didn't want to get hurt. So
Yeah.
I would intentionally do these things to keep me safe and protected at the sake of whoever else was involved. And I think
Mm-hmm.
about that. And it goes past even just partners, it's other relationships. And, I think being just aware of that and then really giving grace to yourself and, thanking yourself during those periods of time, like, I love you for you and I love that person for that, I send love to her. She was hurt. I was hurting, and she was
Yeah.
hurting in that
Yeah.
time. And but for me, it's hard. I think about it this way. I I think about a lot of women that I think are feminine. I can see people who have been like, man, I really wish I was like her. Or like you can see their softness and you can see the way they carry themselves. And I mean, and there's other, I'm just saying, like, and I always was like, man, I wish I was this way or more like this. And as I've gotten older, and especially over the last several months, I've also been having to just really focus on my feminine energy because I've been in such like it's like I went into that protection hustle mode, all the things, wore it like a badge of honor, the grind, like look what I did, like I don't
Yeah.
know. And it's very difficult to find balance. So like I just want people to know that, that you can do it, it's totally doable, but it's so easy to flow into one or the other and not be in balance. And it's still something that I work on every day.
Yeah. Yeah. I think it's similar to, I don't know if many of us grew up with an example of what it looked like. I know I didn't. I think
Mhm.
about that. Two of the, main caregivers in my life were my grandparents.
Mhm.
And my grandmother was so in feminine energy, but in such a destructive way, passive,
Mhm.
pressed, stayed in bed. And then my grandfather overcompensated that and took care of everything,
Mhm.
did the grocery shopping, worked,
Yeah.
cleaned. There was just such an imbalance in that role. So,
Mm-hmm.
I think I was thinking about that as you were talking, like, I don't know if I've ever actually seen it modeled. I don't think I did as a child, for sure.
Yeah, I don't think I ever actually saw it
Hmm.
modeled either, to be honest. My mom did things, but my dad did everything and he just kind of went into control. He cooked, he cleaned, he fixed and did I mean, the man did damn everything. Like he
Hmm.
just did it. And he went into that energy all the time, and so even when I think about my grandmother, who I've mentioned many times, who's, almost 90, I think there's a time where she might have been in balance. And I think maybe she's even more balanced now that she's gotten
Hmm.
older, but you can tell she still leans more masculine just because she had to stay in a protecting space due to the relationship in her marriage. And then
Hmm.
also even growing up, she grew very poor. I mean, I mean, she'll
Hmm.
tell you, she's like, we had to take turns in a wash pan with six sisters.
Yeah.
They really did. And so I think just all of it snowballed, and but she does things like she likes to dance, and she's
Yeah.
always wearing purple lipstick and won't, and
Yeah.
dresses beautiful and loves the things. But you're right. I don't really know if I've ever seen a picture perfect example of a balanced
Yeah. I'm
person.
going to be watching for it now.
Yeah.
You just got me thinking about it. So,
Hmm.
so to sign off, I did come up with like three different affirmations I wanted to share too that you could potentially use around this topic. And then Myra can maybe
I'll
get
put
us
them in
some
the,
journal prompts
yeah.
too when she edits, because she's editor and chief here. But one is, I trust the dance of doing and being within me. I am both the structure and the soul, the river and the current. I bring balance to my relationships through awareness and presence. So, those are just three affirmations. And an affirmation is simply something a mantra that you repeat. You do have to do it several times a day for 20 to 30 days for it to really start to take effect. But it's an easy way for you to start to shift energies. So, yeah. All right. Well, until next time, keep your vibrations way high.
And stay sassy.